Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra.
Welcome to this edition of Market Mantra, in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. I'm Arjun Chaudhary and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Manoj Pathak.
नमस्कार। मार्केट मंत्र के ताजा अंक में आपका स्वागत है। आधे घंटे के इस कार्यक्रम में हमेशा की तरह हम देश और दुनिया की चुनी हुई कारोबारी, आर्थिक और शेयर बाजार से जुड़ी ताजा खबरों को लेकर हाजिर हैं। हमारे साथ खबरों पर चर्चा के लिए ऑनलाइन आमंत्रित हैं वरिष्ठ आर्थिक पत्रकार पुनीत जैन। पुनीत जी, कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत है।
धन्यवाद मनोज जी।
आइए शुरुआत करते हैं अंग्रेजी में हेडलाइन से, जिसे लेकर मौजूद हैं अर्जुन चौधरी।
Benchmark equity stocks fall around 0.9% amid mixed global cues. Sensex finishes at 50,890. Nifty settles at 14,982. Rupee appreciates by 10 paise against the US dollar, and gold prices decline at the multi-commodity exchange to trade around 46,000 rupees per 10 gram mark.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों से मिले जुले रुख के बीच घरेलू शेयर बाजार में बिकवाली तेज। 0.9% घाटे के साथ बंद हुए प्रमुख सूचकांक। सेंसेक्स 50,890 पर हुआ बंद। निफ्टी 14,982 दर्ज हुआ। अंतर बैंकिंग विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में $1 की तुलना में रुपया हुआ 10 पैसे मजबूत और मल्टी कमोडिटी एक्सचेंज में सोने का मूल्य घटकर लगभग 46,000 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम के आसपास आया।
Market Mantra. Market Mantra.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों से मिले जुले रुख के बीच घरेलू शेयर बाजार में आज बिकवाली तेज रही और सेंसेक्स तथा निफ्टी दोनों लगभग 0.9% घाटे में रहे। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स कारोबार के अंत में 435 अंक यानी 0.85% घटकर 50,890 पर बंद हुआ। उधर नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी 137 अंक यानी 0.91% कम होकर 14,982 दर्ज हुआ। छोटी और मझोली कंपनियों के शेयरों की बिकवाली भी तेज रही। बीएसई मिड कैप इंडेक्स 1.67% घाटे के साथ बंद हुआ, जबकि स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स में 0.76% की गिरावट हुई।
The BSE Sensex and the NSE Nifty today fell around 0.9% amidst mixed global cues. Sensex declined by 435 points, or 0.85% to close at 50,890, and the Nifty index fell by 137 points, or 0.91% to 14,982. The broader market at the BSE also declined, underperforming the Sensex. The BSE Mid Cap Index was down 1.67%, while the BSE Small Cap Index depreciated by 0.76%. In the Sensex pack, shares of 9 companies climbed while 21 logged losses. IndusInd Bank was the top gainer as it climbed 2%, followed by Hindustan Unilever, which gained 1.6%. Dr. Reddy's climbed by 1.5%, and NTPC added 0.9%. Reliance rose by 0.7%. On the other side, NTPC tumbled 5.1%. ONGC tumbled 5.1%. SBI declined 3.8%, and Axis Bank plunged by 3.6%. ICICI Bank fell by 3.2%, and Bajaj Auto ended 2.7% down. In sectoral indices, 18 out of 19 sectors climbed. Energy sector was the only gainer, which added 0.3%. On the other hand, auto sector stocks plunged by 2.6%, while metal and Bankex both tumbled 2.1%. Consumer discretionary goods and services, finance, healthcare, and industrials fell 1.5% each. The overall breadth of the BSE trade was negative. The shares of 1,182 companies gained, while 1,779 companies declined. Shares of 170 companies remained unchanged. 349 companies rose to their 52-week high, while 36 companies fell to their 52-week low.
नजर डालें रुपए की स्थिति पर। अंतर बैंकिंग विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में $1 की तुलना में रुपया आज 10 पैसे मजबूत हुआ, 72 रुपए 65 पैसे के स्तर पर आ गया। उधर दुनिया की 6 प्रमुख मुद्राओं की तुलना में डॉलर की स्थिति दर्शाने वाला सूचकांक 0.34% कमजोर होकर 90.29 पर आ गया।
Puneet, I hope you're still with us on Market Mantra. Wonderful to have you on the program.
Yes, Arjun. Thank you.
Puneet, since we spoke on Money Matters, the volatility actually came down slightly to 3.3% as against 4.5% just before, a half an hour before the close of trading session today. How do you see the markets for the week as far as logging losses by almost 1%? And for the coming week as well, what kind of positions do you see the FIIs and DIIs taking in the markets when it comes to Monday next?
So, Arjun, this week started off with very good gains on Monday, but then on the next 3-4 days, we saw substantial profit booking, particularly in areas where we had seen big gains. For example, private sector banks, automobile companies, metal companies. We saw consistent profit booking by domestic investors as well as domestic institutions. Although FIIs were buyers in some stocks, but I think mostly it was defined by profit booking. The highlight of this week really was the outperformance by value stocks. Value stocks as in public sector companies, because the PSU companies and PSU banks were the real star performers of this week. While other indices were coming down, we saw the PSU stocks do very well, driven by certain reform measures that the government announced and by the policy, etc. But I think mostly it is value-based buying in PSU companies which really drove the markets this week. I think going forward, next week is going to be very interesting and very volatile because we will have F&O expiry week next week. So we will likely to see adjustments and profit booking, etc. However, I think in the longer term, if you see, value-based buying by institutions will continue and domestic investors will continue to participate, although markets will be volatile for sure.
Well, Puneet, just a minor correction on our bulletin so far. 18 out of 19 sectors actually declined in today's trade. You spoke about value-based buying that will continue in the next week despite the profit booking that we saw. And public sector companies, as you mentioned earlier, are high on book value, but when you look at the market value of the shares, they have underperformed. There have been other experts who've spoken about other fundamentals, not the price to earnings, but as much as the earnings per share for the valuation in the stock market currently. How are you looking at the mindset of the FII who have a buying interest in the market? What kind of indicators are they looking at when they're buying public sector companies apart from the policy announcement of the government?
So typically foreign investors who have this substantial availability of money, they usually chase growth stocks. So that's why we have seen them buying like private sector banks, even at very high multiples of price to book value or price to earnings, because they saw growth in those sectors. However, lately, what I have observed is that these people now want to get into stocks where there is inherent value. They may not be very smart growth right now, but they expect the earnings for these kind of beaten down stocks to pick up going forward. So clearly, I think there is some kind of rotation of money from growth stocks or the momentum stocks to value-based stocks. Now, in value-based stocks, I think the deepest value lies in government sectors, companies, because there we have seen absolutely no gains in the last 2-3 years, while private sector companies have really risen a lot in market cap. So I think going forward, value, yes, will be in play at least for next 2-3 months.
पुनीत, 2-3 कह लें कि शब्दावली का प्रयोग आपने ऐसा किया है जिसमें आम जो हमारे श्रोता हैं उनकी दिलचस्पी कह लें समझने की दृष्टि से होगी कि वैल्यू बेस्ड बाइंग से वो क्या समझें और किस प्रकार जब कभी उन्हें खरीदारी करनी हो बाजार के इस स्तर पर तो वैल्यू बाइंग और साथ साथ एक और टर्म का आप उपयोग किया करते हैं कि स्मार्ट यानी बाइंग। तो इन दोनों को जोड़ते हुए आज के यानी कह लें जो कारोबार रहा या पूरे सप्ताह का कारोबार रहा है उसे थोड़ा जो हमारे श्रोता हैं उन्हें जानकारी दीजिए।
देखिए, मैं वैल्यू का आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ। यदि हम पब्लिक सेक्टर कंपनी उठाएं, ओएनजीसी, एनटीपीसी, इंडियन ऑयल कॉर्पोरेशन या दूसरी पीएसयू कंपनीज को आप देखें, तो वहां पर डिविडेंड यील्ड यानी जो डिविडेंड मिलता है और जितना पैसा लोग इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, कई जगह पर 6%, 7% से ज्यादा है, जो बैंक एफडी से भी ज्यादा है। उसके बावजूद हमने देखते हैं कि वहां पर शेयर्स की कीमत नहीं बढ़ी। और यानी अगर आप इन्वेस्टर उन शेयर्स को, पब्लिक सेक्टर शेयर्स को खरीदता था, तो उसको डिविडेंड का भी इनकम 7 से 8% पर एनम मिलती। प्राइवेट सेक्टर में यदि हम देखें तो वहां पर ये डिविडेंड यील्ड 1 या 2% होती है। उसके बावजूद इन्वेस्टर्स पीछे दिनों प्राइवेट कंपनीज को ही खरीदते रहे। जैसे प्राइवेट बैंक की बात करें तो वहां पर जो प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू एक तरीका है एवेल्यूएशन देखने का, वो 7 to 8 टाइम्स है। लेकिन पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स में प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू 0.5 यानी 16 गुना वैल्यूएशन ज्यादा है प्राइवेट कंपनीज की। उसके बावजूद भी वहां मोमेंटम बाइंग या ट्रेडर्स वहां बाइंग करते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि जो लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर्स हैं उनको वैल्यू यानी जहां पर अच्छी डिविडेंड है, जहां पर प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू रेशियो कम है, वहां पर उनको शेयर्स खरीदने चाहिए, क्योंकि आने वाले समय में उनको वहां पर डिविडेंड इनकम भी रहती है और सेफ्टी बहुत है। तो क्योंकि वो कंपनीज बहुत सस्ती है, एक प्रकार से सस्ती मिल रही है, तो इसके साथ वैल्यू और मोमेंटम या ग्रोथ को कंपेयर कर सकते हैं।
Puneet, you spoke about private sector banks, which have very high price to earnings ratio as against price to book ratio, which is high for the public sector banks. And we're seeing a long build up in the futures market for private sector banks, IndusInd Bank, IDFC First Bank and Cholamandalam Financial Holdings. So there's clearly an appetite still for private finance companies, even right now, despite the profit booking we saw in PSU banks, which was down by 4.7% today.
So, you're right. So, like I said, in last 5-6 years, we've seen a lot of money go into private sector banking companies or NBFCs. Even when the valuations are very high. In some case of some NBFCs, price to book value is 8 to 10 times. Yet, people continue to buy, or fund managers continue to buy those stocks, expecting that they will continue to grow rapidly in the next few years. Now, so that's one way of investing. So I would say this is a preferred route for traders. But if you're a long-term investor, if you want to avoid risks, you want to be safe investor, and you don't want to make quick money, then one can choose to go for value-based stocks, as I mentioned earlier. And responding to what Manojji had said earlier, so what is smart money? Smart money is basically money which is quick, which wants to make quick gains. They try to get opportunities where general investors or less informed investors obviously don't know and they can't participate. So while smart traders or quick traders can participate in momentum stocks, I think long-term investors will find it safer to invest in value stocks. And in terms of value stocks, I find public sector companies very attractive in terms of dividends, in terms of long-term safety of the capital.
पुनीत, हम आपका ध्यान आज के कारोबार में खास तौर से ऑटो सेक्टर पर ले चलना चाहेंगे। आज हालांकि 2.5% से अधिक की गिरावट इस क्षेत्र में हुई है, लेकिन जो नई स्क्रैप नीति आने वाली है उसके बाद ऑटो सेक्टर किस दिशा में जाएगा और क्या-क्या आयाम इसके निकल सकते हैं पूरे ऑटो सेक्टर पर?
मनोज जी, ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर का लॉन्ग टर्म आउटलुक जो है भारत में वो बहुत अच्छा है। देखिए, कंजम्पशन भी यहाँ पर बढ़ रही है, परचेजिंग पावर भी बढ़ रही है और बहुत डिमांड है जो आ सकती है। टू व्हीलर्स में ऑलरेडी हम दुनिया के सबसे बड़ी मैन्युफैक्चरर हैं। कार्स में भी आने वाले समय में इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स की बात करें या दूसरी ऑटोमोबाइल कंपनीज की बात करें, मुझे लगता है कि बहुत स्कोप है, बहुत ग्रोथ है इंडिया में रहेगी। जो हम जहां तक शेयर्स की बात करें तो यदि मैं शेयर्स को देखूं, जो बड़े बड़े शेयर्स हैं ऑटोमोबाइल्स में, जैसे टाटा मोटर्स की बात करें या महिंद्रा की बात करें, पिछले 7-8 महीनों में ये करीब 3 से 4 गुना इनकी कीमत बढ़ गई है। तो मुझे लगता है जो शॉर्ट टर्म में जो अभी हम गिरावट देख रहे हैं वो एक तरह की प्रॉफिट बुकिंग है, लेकिन लॉन्ग टर्म ट्रेंड ऑटोमोबाइल स्टॉक्स के लिए या ऑटोमोबाइल कंपनीज के लिए वो मुझे लगता है अप ट्रेंड ही रहेगा। और इन्वेस्टर्स जो हैं, जो लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, वो करेक्शन की वेट करें। थोड़ा सा जब करेक्शन आ जाए, 10 से 15% करेक्शन आ जाए, तो वो इसमें निवेश कर सकते हैं इन अ स्टैगर्ड मैनर।
Puneet, what is the VIX telling you about the metal sector? It went down by 2%, but we know that the sector tends to go up and down with the rise and fall of the Sensex in proportion, really, if you look at the beta stocks when it comes to the steel sector. How would you advise investors who are into both the public sector steel companies and the private sector steel companies?
So, Arjun, you're right. The beta for metal stocks is very high. Beta means the movement of metal stocks vis-a-vis the index. So, if the index is moving 1%, you will find metal stocks will move 2 to 3% in that direction. So yes, they're very volatile stocks. But if you ask me, the economic prospects for metal sector in India, they look very bright. And I think steel sector companies and other metal companies will do very well because we are looking at a commodity super cycle in the next 2-3 years. So while there may be short-term blips, there may be short-term ups and downs in the sector and in these companies. But I think if you look at a 2 or 3 year time horizon, I think this sector will do very well, and consequently the companies should also do very well.
We're seeing a rise in bond yields. It's not just your G-Secs in the US Treasury market, but in the domestic market as well. Who is actually buying these bonds and the offer is on a higher rate of interest? Where is the money going to if it's not in the equity market? Is it going to the bond market?
So rising yields in the bond market is really a challenge for all economists across the world, particularly central bankers. In India, if you notice, yesterday RBI wanted to have an auction. They wanted to sell bonds at a low interest rate. They could not do it, and they had to devolve it on primary dealers. So, and that is the situation not only in India. If you look at US, the bond yields have gone beyond 1.2% and from 0.8 earlier. So this shows that the interest rates are rising across the world. That is primarily because of the expectations of inflation going higher towards the end of the current calendar year. So I think it's a problem worldwide where actually when bond yields rise, it means that somebody is selling bonds, because if you sell bonds, prices of bonds go down and the yields will go higher. So right now, I think a lot of people are booking the profits in bonds. And that is why they're selling bonds, and the bond prices are going down and yields are going higher. But once I think liquidity situation stabilizes, then the bond yields should stabilize. My own guess is in India, we should see 10-year bond stabilize at a yield of around 6%. Right now it is 6.15, but I think the bond yields RBI would want to stabilize around 6%.
आइए खबरों का सिलसिला आगे बढ़ाएं। चलें वैश्विक बाजारों की ओर। सबसे पहले नजर डालते हैं एशियाई शेयर बाजार पर, जहां मिला जुला रुख आज दिखा है। दक्षिण कोरिया का कोस्पी आज 0.7% लाभ के साथ बंद हुआ। चीन का शंघाई कंपोजिट इंडेक्स 0.6% ऊपर आ गया। हांगकांग के हैंगसेंग में 0.2% की वृद्धि हुई। उधर बिकवाली के दबाव में जापान का निक्की 225 सूचकांक 0.7% लुढ़क गया। सिंगापुर के स्ट्रेट्स टाइम्स इंडेक्स में 1% की गिरावट हुई। यूरोपीय बाजारों की ओर चलें तो समाचार तैयार किए जाने तक सीमित दायरे में मिला जुला कारोबार हो रहा था। अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार में लंदन का FTSE 100 0.1% नीचे चल रहा था, जबकि जर्मनी के डेक्स में 0.5% की वृद्धि बनी हुई थी। उधर फ्रांस का CAC 40 0.6% बढ़त के साथ कारोबार कर रहा था।
Moving on to the US market, stocks on Wall Street closed lower yesterday as investors shifted out of big tech names, while an unexpected rise in weekly US jobless claims pointed to a fragile recovery in the labor market. The Dow Jones and the S&P 500 both fell by 0.4%, while the Nasdaq Composite Index declined by 0.7%. Puneet, why is there a diversion of investment from the big technology companies? Is there a loss of profitability? Is there something to do with their earnings reports? And how important is the macroeconomic data on the labor market in the US, especially in this post-pandemic era?
So, Arjun, I'm really glad you asked about the divergence between IT stocks and the broader Dow Jones in US. See, I think technology companies' valuations, they really ran up without any touch with the reality in the past many months. In fact, many loss-making tech companies, their valuations have risen to hundreds of billions of dollars in US. And a company like Tesla, which continues to make a loss, the market cap went up to $1 trillion. So clearly, I think investors are now recognizing, like I said earlier, they want to shift some money out of momentum stocks into value stocks. So even in US, we are seeing some kind of rotation of money from momentum, where people have made a lot of money, they have made a lot of profits, booking those profits and reinvesting those profits in the other economy companies. So basic brick and mortar companies, in automobile companies, in retail companies. So I think that is a trend worldwide. In India also we see the same pattern. In the US also we see the same pattern.
So we're looking at the fundamentals like EPS, the earnings per share, to put it very simply, for your small investor.
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Are we looking at the indicator earnings per share for the small investor when they're looking at fundamentals, when they're looking at value-based stocks?
So earnings per share or earnings is a very important parameter, because if companies are not making profits, then we cannot go on giving them crazy valuations. However, that has been happening over the past many months and a couple of years. But yes, earnings is very important, and companies' capability to sustain a business for the long term. So a lot of money is coming to companies which may survive only for a year or 2 years. In many technology companies, that is always a question. So I think investors should really, particularly see small investors. There may be, like I said earlier, there may be momentum players, smart money, people with hedge fund players. So there are different category of investors. For small investors, for long-term investors, they should go for safety. And safety lies in good earnings and good long-term businesses.
आइए खबरों का सिलसिला आगे बढ़ाते हैं। आत्मनिर्भर भारत के अंतर्गत देश में पहला खिलौना मेला 27 फरवरी से 2 मार्च तक वर्चुअल माध्यम से आयोजित किया जाएगा। इसका उद्देश्य खिलौना निर्माण को बढ़ावा देना और वैश्विक बाजार में हिस्सेदारी बढ़ाना है। इसके माध्यम से भारतीय खिलौना उद्योग के सभी हितधारकों को एक मंच पर लाने के लिए स्थायी संबंध बनाना है। ये मेला उद्योग के समग्र विकास के लिए संवाद को बढ़ावा देगा और दुनिया के सामने भारत की खिलौना निर्माण क्षमता को दर्शाएगा। भारत खिलौना मेला 2021 की वेबसाइट www.indiatoyfair.in पर प्रतिभागी भाग ले सकते हैं। ये अपनी तरह का पहला डिजिटल खिलौना मेला है जो न केवल भारत के राज्यों और केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों के 1000 से अधिक प्रदर्शकों से विभिन्न प्रकार के खिलौनों का पता लगाने और खरीदने का अवसर प्रदान करेगा, बल्कि ज्ञानवर्धक वेबिनार, पैनल, चर्चा और अन्य गतिविधियों में भाग लेने के लिए अवसर उपलब्ध कराएगा। पिछले वर्ष अगस्त में अपने मन की बात कार्यक्रम में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने लोगों से स्टार्टअप्स के जरिए भारत को खिलौना उत्पादन का केंद्र बनाने का आग्रह किया था। पुनीत, यदि हम वैश्विक स्तर पर देखें तो खासतौर से यूरोपीय देशों के मूल के खिलौनों का बाजार एक बहुत यूरोपीय अमेरिकी मूल के जो खिलौने हैं उनका एक बहुत बड़ा बाजार है, जबकि भारत में खिलौने की लंबी परंपरा रही है, लेकिन बाजार के रूप में बड़े स्तर पर ना तो उसे प्रचारित किया गया है और ना उसका दोहन किया गया है। क्या इस तरह के मेले और इस तरह के जो नवाचार हैं, इनोवेशंस हैं, उसके माध्यम से वैश्विक जो खिलौनों का बाजार है उसमें हमारी पैठ बनेगी?
हाँ, बिल्कुल मनोज जी। देखिए, भारत के पास बहुत बड़ी एक डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्री है और एक स्किल सेट है। और देखिए, वो खिलौने हमें नकल नहीं करनी वेस्ट की, उनका जो व्यापार है, उनके जो प्रोडक्ट है, वो उनकी स्पेशलिटी है। लेकिन भारत के पास जो हैंडीक्राफ्ट सेक्टर है, हैंडीक्राफ्ट सेक्टर में बहुत बड़ा कैपेबिलिटीज भी हैं, बहुत बड़ा स्किल सेट भी है। मुझे लगता है इसको यदि एप्रोप्रिएट एक्सपोजर में वर्ल्ड स्टेज पे एक्सपोजर मिले तो डेफिनेटली ये बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी हो सकती है।
In more news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that circular economy can be a key step in addressing the ecological strain on our planet. Addressing the valedictory function of the India-Australia Circular Economy Hackathon today through a video conference, Mr. Modi stressed on the need to look at our consumption patterns and how we can reduce the ecological impact. The Prime Minister said that recycling and reusing things, eliminating waste and improving resource efficiency must become a part of our lifestyle. He expressed the hope that innovations showcased at the hackathon will inspire the two countries to take the lead in circular economy solutions. He also asked to find ways to scale up and incubate these ideas. Mr. Modi said we must never forget that we are not the owners of all that Mother Earth has to offer, but merely its trustees for all the future generations to come. The Prime Minister said the energy and enthusiasm of today's youthful participants in the hackathon is a symbol of the forward-looking partnership between India and Australia. He said the strong India-Australia partnership will play an important role in shaping the post-COVID world, and our youth, young innovators and startups will be at the forefront of this partnership. Mike Coinca was talking about startups. Do you see regulations in terms of recycling a factor when it comes to shaping how products are actually manufactured, used, and then thrown away? Do you see that as an upcoming industry with this kind of an exchange between two countries?
So, Arjun, you're right. Regulations play a very important role in directing public consumption or public policy. However, I think it is ultimately wider awareness of the benefits of sustainable growth, which will drive these investments and these patterns of behavior. So my own sense is that we need to make people aware of the benefits of sustainable growth, of recyclability, protecting the environment, and that it is in our own benefit in the long term. I think those are important things.
Puneet, apart from creating a separate industry for recycling itself, do you see the ultimate objective for these exchanges being the free trade agreement between two nations, one developing, the other developed?
So India, in fact, has been trying to develop a strategic relationship with Australia in areas of defense as well as in the area of trade. Australia has had very close relations with China because of its commodity trade with China. And Australia also wants to diversify its markets. So I think India and Australia have many opportunities in the area of defense, economy, and other social goals.
Well, let's have a look at the oil market now. Oil prices today fell despite a sharp drop in U.S. crude inventories as market participants took profits following days of buying spurred by a cold snap in the largest U.S. energy producing state. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $62.80 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $59.10 per barrel. Puneet, I remember last time we spoke about fracking and how shale oil production can benefit from high oil prices generally, but it has crossed $60 a barrel. What is this happening in the U.S., especially in West Texas, which is really freezing the mining of crude oil and its sale, and that's also pushing up prices apart from what Saudi Arabia has proposed?
Absolutely. So as it is, OPEC was cutting production, and suddenly we had this freak weather phenomenon in Texas, which is home to the largest production of oil in US. So because of this weather condition, extreme weather condition in Texas, there's been oil supplies have kind of gone down, which has pushed prices higher. But I don't think these prices are sustainable. I really expect oil prices to come down.
What does this mean for India? Because there have been caveats, warnings about how not just India's growth, but global growth can be thwarted by a rise in oil prices.
Absolutely. This greed by OPEC countries in pushing prices higher by cutting production, I think it is unjustified and economically counterproductive. So they need to really change this policy.
आइए आगे बढ़ें, चलें सर्राफा बाजार। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों में कमजोरी के रुख के बीच घरेलू सर्राफा बाजार में भी आज सोने की चमक फीकी पड़ गई। मल्टी कमोडिटी एक्सचेंज में सोने का मूल्य 195 रुपए घटकर 45,930 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम पर आ गया। उधर चांदी 240 रुपए फिसलकर 68,250 रुपए प्रति किलो रह गई। न्यूयॉर्क मर्केंटाइल एक्सचेंज में सोने का मूल्य थोड़ा सा कम नीचे आया, $1,768.30 प्रति आउंस के स्तर पर आ गया। चांदी $27.10 प्रति आउंस के स्तर पर आ गई। उपरीत सोने के भाव खासतौर से अब नीचे की ओर ही आने के आसार हैं आने वाले दिनों में, या फिर से एक चमक इसकी दिखेगी?
मनोज जी, आप जानते हैं कि मैं सोने को कोई लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट के तौर पर बहुत ज्यादा पसंद नहीं करता, क्योंकि उसमें कभी भी हिस्टोरिकली कभी इतना फायदा नहीं हुआ है। लेकिन एज एन इमरजेंसी इन्वेस्टमेंट, एज अ कैश इन्वेस्टमेंट, इट्स अ वेरी गुड अपॉर्चुनिटी। तो इन्वेस्टर्स को बहुत ज्यादा पैसा गोल्ड में नहीं लगाना चाहिए, उनको कुछ पैसा गोल्ड में लगाना चाहिए। मुझे लगता है कि गोल्ड की कीमत बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ से नहीं बढ़ेगी, मे बी 5 or 10% अप फ्रॉम हेयर, पर लॉन्ग टर्म में बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा प्रोस्पेक्ट गोल्ड के मुझे नहीं लगते।
We've seen silver prices go up very briefly. Why?
Silver, because of the consumption and also because there was a worldwide hedge fund buying in silver earlier, but even that is moderating now, if you see.
बस यहीं पर श्रोताओं की ओर से पुनीत हम आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहेंगे।
धन्यवाद मनोज जी।
And before we close, a reminder of the headlines. Benchmark equity stocks fall around 0.9% amid mixed global cues. Sensex finishes at 50,890. Nifty settles at 14,982. Rupee appreciates by 10 paise against the US dollar. And gold prices decline at the multi-commodity exchange to trade around 46,000 rupees per 10 gram mark.
इसके साथ ही श्रोताओं, हमारा ये कार्यक्रम आपसे विदा लेना चाहता है। अगले अंक में मनी मैटर्स में 3 बजे दोपहर और मार्केट मंत्रा में 6:30 बजे आपसे भेंट होगी।
That's it in this edition of Market Mantra for now. Goodbye.
Market Basta.